So, the nature of reality, explained in detail in a way that allows myself to be able to understand it, because it is brought into a modern day context. So let's say that we're condensing the fabric of reality, the wonderment of reality, ancient teachings and wisdoms, down into a modern day context. That's what I'm here to do, to deliver this information as I channel it through me to you. So where to begin? Well, at the start, or what is perceived to be the start, which in truth is the end and the re-beginning once again. The cosmic Om, the Big Bang, the Omgasm. Om. When God the Father exploded into the Universal Mother, creating their children of multicolour. All shapes, all sizes, all spaces, all realms, all places, all came to be in that single moment of now. That moment of now, which is the same moment that we are experiencing in this very moment. So why? Why is the question that I will always ask? Why is the question that I asked over and over again as a child and caused the adults around me no end of frustration? It wasn't that I was trying to undermine or question them, or question their authority or their perceived authority, but it was just that I truly wondered why. I want to know why, and I'm here to discover that truth. So why do we take things apart? Very simplistically, if I was God, which, don't tell anyone, but I am, and so are you, but don't tell anyone, because there's been countless people throughout history that have been persecuted, enslaved, and even executed for expressing this truth. Christ consciousness is something that we can all tap into, that we all have access to. And he himself knew that I am the Father, are one. So say I, and so it is. He's been placed upon a pedestal for other people to exist underneath. But that's going slightly off topic. So let's go back to the Big Bang and the reason for it. If I was God, which again I am, and I knew everything and nothing at the same time, if I was a single form of consciousness, there would be nothing to experience other than an awareness of self. So very simplistically put, once again, I'm probably going to use the word simplistic over and over again, because I'm trying to bring to mind the frequency of vibration which I'm able to channel through me, so I can put it into words to share it with you. If you're a single self-contained aspect of consciousness, there's nothing to experience other than the fact that you can experience. So what we then do is we separate ourselves, we fragment ourselves. The way you discover how something works is you take it apart. You take apart an engine to discover how it works, and then you put it back together again. You take apart yourself, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, the experiences you've had in life. I know that you do this because you're listening to this show. That means you're empathetic. That means you're spiritually awakened, and that you're on a journey of self-discovery to understand yourself, to become able to have a deep inner standing of yourself, so that having understood yourself, you can overstand everything else. To understand is to place yourself underneath something. To overstand it is to place yourself aloft so that you have a bird's eye perspective, a more clear vantage point of all the information, as opposed to just a narrow-minded and egoic perception. So again, the Big Bang happened simplistically for the exact reason that the conscious self became consciously aware of self. And I'll come back to this point at the end of this episode, because as I say, it all loops back into itself. So you become conscious. In this consciousness, you know that you have the ability to do and to be anything. That with a simple will of your mind or consciousness, because the mind is something which is human in construct, and that is what houses or allows the frequency of consciousness to travel through. So likened to a TV, the TV is what picks up the frequency and broadcasts it, but it is not the actual show that you're watching. It's just the medium which it is delivered through. So becoming conscious of the self, knowing that you have the ability to create everything and nothing, and that it is timeless, or you are timeless, that you are infinite in potential in all ways. If it was me and I was sat there for eternity with nothing else to do, I might become slightly bored. So, what causes existence? What is existence? Is energy. It's all energy, right? And the space between, the dark areas between the energy, or the dark areas even within it. So each atom is mostly made up of empty space. Each moment is mostly made up of empty space. The universe, in principle, is chaotic, absolutely destructive and chaotic. We have found an area of calm, an area of relaxation within that chaos in order to be able to experience those moments of bliss that we are able to be part of through the creation of it ourselves. So as a side note, very quickly, if you are experiencing something that you feel is slightly traumatic or heavy or oppressive or negative in frequency, and you have attached your mind to it with a desire to escape it or avoid it, that's because you have decided, or your ego, your conscious awareness of self, as opposed to your super consciousness, has decided that it is negative, that it is bad. You've placed it in the pile of bad as opposed to the pile of good. In truth, it's all just single. It's an event, a situation, an experience that you are able to learn and to grow from. So only by attaching the mind to it do we then defy it as good or bad. And the truth is that knowing that you're the universe in completion, there's been times, knowing that it's all now again, times in existence where you have been absolute chaos as a frequency. As the universe was coming to be, as it exploded out from itself, to then slightly start to come back into unity with itself, there were moments where you were just stardust, exploded out in chaos, heat, pressure, freezing temperatures, voids of existence, voids of nothingness. You were all these things. In those moments, because you didn't have a mind to attach to it, you didn't defy it or classify it as good or bad. You just experienced it for what it is, an experience. Now you've attached your mind to an event, a situation, and classified it as bad. It seems like it's the biggest and most severe thing in the entire world, in the entire universe. So know that it matters not. Know that you have experienced chaos beyond measure, as well as bliss and ecstasy beyond that which you can physically comprehend, because it is outside of this realm of existence, frequency bandwidth, let's say. That within a certain frequency, you can only experience certain things. Within this third dimensional realm, we can only experience things up to a certain frequency of potential. You go above, say, the 6th or the 7th dimension of potential, then you bypass the physical structure. So you're no longer able to be contained in this body, as a simple way of putting it. I know this is all incredibly deep, and I'm trying to deliver it in a step-by-step process to bring it into a more easy to utilize and ingest way of receiving. So as you explode yourself out, knowing that you are the universe in completion, you do so that you can experience separation. Being singular, there is nothing within to actually bring any form of conflict. Existing in complete harmony, which is where we're journeying back to. And as I say, the whole purpose of separation and fragmentation is to learn and to grow, to analyze each and every angle, each and every side, each and every perspective, to learn and to grow from it, to then bring it back into unity, back into singularity. We do this simply because we can. We do everything that we do. I do everything that I do simply because I can. If I feel I have to do something, then it becomes restrictive and negative in vibration, and I then no longer want to experience it. Knowing that I choose it all, knowing that I create it all, keeps me in a position of authority, of ownership. Knowing that the good, the bad, and the ugly that exist in reality, that exist outside me, all start from within. That if I'm going to be a creator, I either create it all or nothing at all. Okay? Anytime you enter into a victimhood stage of feeling, really you're just creating that characteristic, that character in the game of life, so that you can experience what it's like to play that role for a period of time. So going back to everything being energy in a singularity, when everything starts as a single point, a single circle, it has nothing to experience other than itself. It will then reach a point where it will travel right to the very edge of itself before actually separating itself into a new structure, a new form. It will then journey around that circle before again changing direction or continuing in the same direction before potentially actually traveling back on itself at a later date. This, in sacred geometry, is the seed of life, the flower of life, the start of existence. And there is so much information that can be found. YouTube's a beautiful place to look as we're streaming this here. Big up to YouTube, other than the removal of my recent videos for not being within your guidelines. So thank you for monetizing us and trying to monetize my channel without my permission as well, actually interrupting people in their beautiful meditative states by trying to chuck advertisements at them. Not okay. Really not okay. Side note. It is okay because it's part of reality. And in existence, everything is as it is for a reason. Sometimes we don't understand that reason. So we just accept it for what it is. We focus on what we can change, or we change the way that we view the things that we cannot. So in a single moment, as a single structure, single unit, being self-contained, existing in harmony, there is nothing to experience other than harmony. To say it's all love and light, I exist in a state of love and light, eternal love and light, all unicorns and rainbows, yay. I'm a light worker. I'm an ascended master, an ambassador of the light. And I am here to lead the way into creating a brighter future for all, doing so today. But I'm not all unicorns and rainbows, because that would be in denial of parts of existence that I know that I am. I have the ability to destroy as well as create, to love as well as to hate. It all exists within me. The angel and the devil are not on my shoulder, talking and whispering to me. They are parts of me. And by separating and fragmenting them from myself and placing them outside myself, I lose authority over them. It seems then that they whisper to me and control me, when in truth, I choose, because I am creator, the creator of it all. Again, all or nothing at all. So, knowing that it's all energy, the purpose or the reason for the existence of this energy is, again, to experience itself. And the actual experience is created by friction. Okay? When there's a single form, a single circle, within that circle, if it's harmonious and nothing but harmony, then there is nothing to experience other than that state of harmony. We need friction. We need alternative perceptions or perspectives of situations and events in order to actually learn and to grow. If we all believed when we were born that the way to bake a cake is A, B, C, D, E, that's it, we would only ever, any of us, taste and experience the same cake. I don't know why cakes, but it's the same for everything, every situation, every experience, every creation. It's the ability to be able to create in our own unique perspective, our own unique vibrational frequency that brings the depth and the beautiful clarity to this game that we call life. Instead of being two-dimensional and black and white, it's 12th dimensional and multicolored. And I'll actually like to speak about dimensions as we go through, if we have time within today's episode. If not, then I'm going to dedicate a specific episode, because there was such a beautiful conversation I had a couple of weeks ago with my girlfriend, all about the different realms of existence and layers or levels of frequency. And we were out having a walk, and because of the ability to channel answers to questions, it's always much more natural to actually answer somebody that is asking me a question as opposed to just channeling through this information. It stays more direct and more on topic. So it's the friction which creates existence. Two objects rubbing together create friction. That friction is then released as heat, as energy, in whatever way, shape and form, sound, heat, whatever way we can perceive it within our human senses. It's just energy vibrating again. And it's those two objects which rub together which create the spark of existence. So it's when single self, when God realized that it was conscious, it became conscious of itself, and then it wanted to understand itself, and then it became defiant of the experience that it was currently experiencing. It likened to being born. You're in this beautiful womb, all nice and cozy and weightless and almost euphoric in frequency, safe and protected. And the next thing, bang, it's like you've been shot out of this beautiful warm cocoon out into this hostile cold environment to be slapped on the bum, creating instant friction and frustration, like, whoa, what's happened here? And then we go on a journey towards trying to come back into that feeling of unity within the self, that place of harmony. So to come from love and return to love as a vibrational frequency, knowing that love is the foundation of all existence. So the reason for this, and I have been shown this many a time in many a ways, and the most simplistic way of putting it, simplistic once again, is if I was God, which again I am, but don't tell anyone, and so are you. If I was God and I knew everything and I could create anything, I would be interested to discover, or the only real desires that I would have would be the discovery of the two most deeply ingrained and burning questions that we have within us all. Where am I from? And why am I here? It's the questions that we all ask ourselves. Where am I from? Well, I'm from source. And why am I here? Well, to experience myself. Okay, so that's the singularity of self. But what about the unified self? God, source energy, Christ consciousness embodied within a single cellular or vibrational point of existence. Single point. The moment before the Big Bang. Once you become conscious of yourself and conscious of the awareness that you can just consciously create anything, You know everything other than where you're from and why you're here. If it was me, which it is, because this is why I did it, this is why we did it, the you that is I, the eternal I, the cosmic consciousness of I, as opposed to the egoic I, once again, remember? The egoic I has no understanding or perception of this. It won't understand. It will try to deny and run away, as well as other people's egoic perceptions of it. When you start to spiritually awaken and you tell people the experiences you've had firsthand, they try to shun and undermine you, to tell you you're wrong. This is because their ego doesn't understand it. And what the ego doesn't understand, it classifies as being wrong. It's the mighty ego. It has to be in a position of authority, of ownership. That person over there, they're different to me. They're a different color, or their sexual preferences are different, or they're different in their perspectives and viewpoints of creation, different religious backgrounds or different societies or cultures. Because I don't understand them, and I'm the mighty ego, they must be wrong. So I'm going to tell them they're wrong so that I remind myself that I'm right. I'm going to put them down, undermine them, repress them, maybe even attack them if necessary, just to ensure that I remain the mighty ego. Powerful realizations, all of these. So please continue as we venture down the rabbit hole with me a little further. Simply because we can. With the discovery, or the desire to discover where we're from and why we're here, as though we've gone out on a school trip, each of us with our own unique position, our own unique vibration, our own unique viewpoint, viewing everything in reality, everything in existence. Source, consciousness, God, separating itself, fragmenting itself into infinite different versions across infinite different realms to have infinite different experiences. To then be able to collect all that information and bring it back into a single form, with the desire to be able to then realize or learn where God is from and why God is here. What happens at the end is basically the same as at the beginning. So it's coming in back into a singularity, back into a single point of consciousness. And again, I will touch on this at the end. I'm going to write down a note so that I don't forget to come back, because it does require, whilst we're channeling through information in a step-by-step process, to have a conscious connection to where we are upon that journey. When you enter into the astral realm, it's beautiful and you can experience everything and anything you desire, but not being consciously aware of it. It's the conscious awareness which allows us to integrate it at a cellular level, to then be able to expand the consciousness potential of this race, the human race, to be able to venture and ascend to new levels of potential, new levels of experience. Yeah. So when we're born, knowing that we choose to come here to learn and to grow, to have certain situations that we have created, the desire to experience that we then create alongside simultaneously experiencing it. The way I've been shown it, the most simplistic way to view it is like a computer game. So likened to a computer for a moment. Let's put a line in the sand from everything we've shared and where we're up to so far, and change our focus for a moment into an internal representation. Let's have a look at you. One of my greatest gifts is to be able to understand the inner workings of the human mind, knowing that it's all just energy. And when somebody responds emotionally in a certain way, I can see the emotion as a frequency, and then I can actually see the pathway that has created, or that they have walked from the very start of that embodiment, that attachment to that frequency, to where it is they are now. I still can't quite consciously comprehend how I'm able to do this, but I accept it for what it is, because it's a beautiful, beautiful gift to be able to embody and to utilize in the work that I do. It's how I bring liberation to my clients. It's how I flow through the information to create all the videos and the podcasts that we do. So knowing that existence is a single event, the way you view the world through your lenses, through your eyes, is one interpretation. And the way that somebody else views it, even if they're viewing the exact same situation, will be completely unique, with a completely different outcome or learning attached to it because of their perspective and their previous events and situations. Each one is existing in the same moment on the same screen. So if you likened it to a TV, as above, so below, as within, so without. Again, this is an expression I'm sure you've all heard before. As above, so below. As within, so without. So what's happening above you in the heavens is the same as what's happening below you in hell, if you liken to a biblical sense. What's happening within you in the internal world is the same as what's happening outside you in the external world. There is no separation. It is all you. If you go about separating yourself, saying God is outside me, the devil's outside me, the devil's trying to undermine me, and God's trying to guide me, then you're causing yourself issues that don't need to be experienced. The reason it works when we pray to God is because each individual person, if you look at existence as being love, each element of it being, let's have a look at it as light, okay? Beings of light. We are universal gold and white light housed in a solid structure, housed within these bodies. I was shown it as water because it's the way that I see things. So whatever you place water into, it becomes. You place it into the cup, it becomes the cup. Place it into the ocean, it becomes the ocean. You're a being of light housed within a physical body. The light that is the sun is the same light that is you, is the same light that is within the center of the earth, the same light that is at the center of the entire universe. In truth, it is all you. And as a very quick side note, the most important person in existence to have ever lived, or whoever will live, is you. Because without you, there's nothing to experience. It would all only be potential. Knowing that everything in experience, so potential, everything that we can come into contact with, everything that we can experience or create exists now. So when you have a thought, it then leads to an action, and an action taken over time becomes a habit. Habits embodied help to create or make up the characteristics of the avatar self that you play in this game we call life. If you believe yourself to be a victim and you carry down that path, you will always experience things within the level that the victim plays. I'm the victim, so therefore I need to create somebody else in my life as the repressor. And the person who's playing the game, or the character of repressor, will naturally be magnetized or attracted to you, knowing that you require them to play a role in your game and they require you to play a role in theirs. So you're subconsciously co-creating simultaneously the game together, both playing the characteristics of the characters, the roles in each other's games perfectly. And whoever you've had contact with, you have created or vibrationally aligned to through your own creation. Sometimes we're unaware of this, and as a child, we have no understanding or control of this. If we are given certain information as a child, then we act accordingly in creating it. So again, liken back to that single screen. A TV screen has the capability to pick up and broadcast any frequency of channel that is in the airways around it. So every channel it has the potential to pick up and broadcast are around the TV. It's there now. Whatever channel, whatever button you press, whatever channel you tune it into, will then broadcast to you the relevant station. If you tune yourself into repression, anger, victimhood, frustration, any of the low vibrational frequencies, then it's likened to tuning the telly into that channel. So then don't be surprised that that's what you see. Remember, it's a single screen. So the external world sees that screen as you. Oh, here comes Kaine, the angry person. And you view it from inside, externally, believing it's the external world. Oh, here comes the world that's really angry, or makes me angry, that makes me experience anger. Again, it's the same frequency, and you hold the remote control. It took me a very long time to discover this truth, and to then actually mindfully choose myself into a frequency that I wish to experience, to tune myself into love. First of all comes acceptance, then gratitude, then love. By accepting yourself, you can accept everyone else because you know that they are part of you. By being grateful for everyone, every single character that's been part of your game, you can then be grateful for every single role that you've played in somebody else's game. Whether you have been the saint or the sinner, the repressor or the liberator, you have played your role perfectly in co-creation of it to the other character that has been simultaneously experiencing it alongside you. This is co-creation at the most simplistic level. By tuning myself now into love, love has become the standby frequency. So you turn the telly off, you go to sleep, you wake up, and it just automatically tunes itself into love with short and very powerful daily reminders such as gratitude journals and intention setting and almost forward projecting and creating. So I go through a process where I go forwards in time to create a certain situation, and then I come back to now knowing that the pathway between here and there has been created, that the yellow brick road has been laid already, and then all I need to do is joyfully and harmonically skip towards that destination. This allows me to stay very feminine in frequency as opposed to masculine, trying to lay the road whilst I'm walking it. So on that single screen, you have the potential to experience anything you choose. With that said, when we are born, we are subjected to the frequencies around us. So there's two ways that I'd like to bring to light this image. The first way is to liken it back to a screen again, back to a PC, a computer this time. So computers are all created with the same internal potential, let's say. Maybe they have different shells. Some cars, they're all made in the same factory and they just have a different body. And it's the body which then attracts certain people to them, and they purchase the car, paying more or less for it for exact same internal workings with a different external shell. When you get a car, you believe you own the car. Even if you rent a car and get it on lease, you believe that you own the car. We have been led down a path to believe that we own these bodies, that we own the experience that they have, that we own the thoughts that we are able to experience within them. They're just all experiences. This body is a rental that we have been given the opportunity to come here and to enjoy the game that we call life through. Just like a computer game character in the game. It may believe itself to be playing the game. It may believe itself to be the character. But you know that you're operating the character. And it's through deep trance-like and transcendental meditative states that we venture back to the truth that not only are we playing the game, but we are not only with the avatar being in the game, experiencing the game, we're also the player of the game, and we're creating the game simultaneous to playing it, co-creating it with everybody else that is playing the same game. Okay? Born blank, like a blank computer. We experience certain situations and events from around us, and we take that information and we install it onto our computer. Just like learning. That's how we learn. We take the information from around us. We look at the way that our parents and our peers behave, any fears or phobias, any habits or beliefs, whether they're positive or negative. We don't realize this. We just see it, so we believe it to be true. We take it and we install it in our internal dialogue, in our programming. If you have somebody that is very repressive, very angry, very narcissistic in frequency, or somebody that is perhaps a poor me, a victim, and likes to play small, likes to keep themselves sheltered from potential success because the fear of success brings with it a fear of failure, as an example, then you will take these beliefs and you will adopt them. And then that will be installed on your computer as your go-to programs. The subconscious mind, to bring in an understanding of a neurological perspective of this topic, this story, because it is just all a story that we tell ourselves and we tell each other. Oh, that thing happened to me. Well, that's an interesting story. Oh, that really good thing happened to me. That's another interesting story. Both are stories. In one of them, you are enjoying it, and the other one, you're not. When you're watching a TV show, sometimes the character has traumatic and detrimental things take place in that story, but you're not personally attached to it. You haven't a mind within that character that has attached it as good or bad. Therefore, you just view it. You may think, oh, I'd rather they didn't experience that, or oh, poor them, because that's an empathetic attachment to their experience. But if you had no understanding as it was a good or a bad experience, let's say, it would just be an experience. Only by your mind being attached to it, classifying it as good or bad, do you then perceive it as good or bad. Coming back to that point again, because it's repetition which allows us to learn and to grow. Just as at school, you learn your times table through repetition. And I'm here to repeatedly remind you of the power and potential that resides within you, because you are the universe in completion and unlimited in everything through the co-creation of it. So there's nothing that you think that you cannot bring to pass. Everything in existence is first created within a conscious construct, within some form of what we classify as mind, an area where consciousness is embodied, housed, to be able to then bring it into the material realm. Everything. So back to the computer. Born blank, we have all these programs installed upon us that we install upon ourselves because it's a natural way of being. We have no alternative other than to gain information to try to understand the external world. When we're born, we have no understanding that we are separate to our surroundings. As a baby, it takes a while to realize that your hand is yours and that the thing you're holding in it, although you have control and movement of that object, that it is not actually part of you. And then we start to learn about separation and fragmentation as we venture further and further away from that feeling of unity. My subconscious response and defense mechanisms, because the subconscious mind is there to keep you safe, just as the ego is. So anybody that is on an ego death journey, please stop what you're doing and actually ask yourself, knowing that you're everything in completion, knowing that you are your ego as well as your higher self. If somebody was trying to destroy you, to kill you, how that would make you feel. And that instead of trying to destroy or kill you, would it not be more beneficial and more joyful and harmonic to actually love that part of yourself, to bring it in, to bring it on side, to bring it onto your team, as opposed to trying to push it outside and separate it and leave it out in the darkness? So there's a multitude of videos on YouTube, and Cosmic Surfer YouTube channel, all about the ego. Please go over and watch them, because it's incredibly, incredibly important information. Stop with the ego death bullshit, okay? The subconscious mind, its highest and truest directive is to protect and serve the body. It's there to keep your body safe. The subconscious mind is then the point of reference or access to your higher self, which has access to a multitude of other realms of information and potential experiential wisdom, let's say, frequency, potential to embody and to channel through you. My way of keeping myself safe, because it was learnt and then embodied as a program, was to, if somebody projected anger at me, if somebody became hostile in frequency, because I didn't realize that I was creating it myself, obviously, because we're not educated in that way as children. We believe ourselves to be victims to everything taking place around us as opposed to the actual creator of it, which is the first steps towards that mentality of life happens to me instead of I happen to life. My response to anger was to get angry. Somebody gets angry, I get angry back. Okay, I stayed safe. It protected me. Tick. The next time somebody gets angry, last time it worked, getting angry back. Let's try again. Tick. Okay, twice. The third time, the rule of 3 works again, tick. Now it is taken to be factual. So getting angry keeps me safe. This was my subconscious, the integrated program. It's a program that I saw being used externally by my father. So it's a program that I tried myself, that worked, and then I adopted. I then got to a point where I was so angry and so fearful that it felt that I was constantly under threat of attack. So I constantly needed to be angry to keep myself safe. Then we get stuck in this vicious loop and cycle where it seems that we have no way out. As we're all born blank and we have these programs installed upon us, we have access only to the information within those programs. So you learn new things, you gain new information, you watch spiritual awakening videos on YouTube, you listen to podcasts such as this, and you meditate and you embody this truth within. Sometimes we experience things and then we seek validation externally. We communicate, we share, we express our experiences to have somebody else be able to come back to us and say, yes, I experienced that too. This is just the egoic desire to have what we've experienced confirmed. The wonderful thing about the computers that we are, with the subconscious mind integrated within it, is that it has access to the internet of all things, the Akashic records. On a computer, if you only ever operate the programs upon it, you will only ever receive the information that is housed or accessible within those programs. When we venture outside of a belief that we are the computer, the body, or the programs installed upon it, the beliefs, then we have access to the internet, to the Akashic records. And in that state of Unity One consciousness, we can ask any question and receive the answer instantaneously. It's there. Ask and it shall be done. So say I, and so it is. Then we can go about actually cross-referencing the information on the programs to information that we have access to on the internet, knowing that there is a broader field and perspective of information on the internet because it's a collective of all programs upon all computers that are collected and housed within a single area, a single library of information, so that we can enter into it and say, okay, as an average, what is it to experience this? So infinitely, well, infinite minus 1, to a point where infinite becomes meaningless. If we were to test something, let's use heads and tails as an example on a coin, because it's a beautiful image. If you flick a coin, You expect it. If you did it 100 times, if you did it 5 times, you think, well, one's going to win. There's going to be more heads or more tails because you've chosen 5. If you did it 100 times, you'd expect it to be roughly 50-50. If you do it to an infinite number of times, you expect it to be roughly 50-50, right? Just as we expect, or why do we expect then, that in life it's always going to be unicorns and rainbows, knowing that it's day and it's night equally, that it's hot and it's cold, depending on where you are around the world, within the seasons, roughly equally. That sometimes we are up and sometimes we're down. This is all because everything in existence, being energy vibrating at different frequencies, it does so in waveform. It goes up and down. That's why we surf those waves, my friends, or you beautiful cosmic surfers. Because if you go under, they can crash down upon you. And then you feel truly victimized and out of control. But it's the twists and turns and ups and downs of a roller coaster which make the ride exciting. Again, without friction, without the ups and downs, there'd be a flat line, just as a heartbeat is flatlined when there's no more experience to be had. Okay? So that's what we do. We enter into the area where we have access to all information. All information. And as well as this, that's why nothing can ever be truly, factually, scientifically proven, because of the potential of infinite. You could do it to infinite minus 1 times, and the coin could always land heads. On the next time, it could land tails and blow the whole equation out of the water. That's the way that all theories are actualized. As soon as it has a potential, or as soon as it can be disproven, it is no longer proven. The entire thing's blown out of the water. So if anybody can disprove gravity or the theory of gravity, then gravity no longer exists as a theory. Okay. So let's come to now an image of individuality and co-created union to bring a close, let's say, to today's episode. I've been waffling now for 50 minutes, and this is what I love to do. This is who I am. I could do this all day, literally all day. But the expression 0 to hero is something that I would like to share with you, because it was the main focal point of today from a holographic universe principle of existence, let's say. Knowing that the most simplistic way to view life is like a computer game, that you are the avatar being, as well as the player of that being, as well as the creator of the game. And that everybody else is a secondary character in your game, and that they all play the roles perfectly that they're supposed to. You choose the character. The start of a computer game, you choose the character you're going to play, male, female, what they look like, certain attributes, and then you enter the game. You enter fresh, new, unaware of what's taking place. In the first level, there's certain learnings and growth, certain characters in the game that you have attracted to you as part of the contract almost that's written between yourselves before you enter into the game. So I want to learn about overcoming guilt. So therefore, I'm going to bring lots of characters into my game that will have events that I can experience alongside them through the creation of it, that will bring me to a feeling and embodiment of frequency of guilt. So then I can learn how to release that guilt once again, how to come back into a vibration of neutrality and creatorship over everything, through the acceptance of everything that has been. Only through the acceptance of all that is, was, or ever shall be, will we, or will you, my friends, be free, truly free. It's all in here again. You take away the mind, it doesn't matter. But you take away the mind and there's nothing to experience as matter. So we need the mind to experience, and we need to know that it's just an experience in the mind. That it doesn't defy us, that in truth it's not really real, that it's a projection that we are creating to be able to experience the creation of it. Bizarre, I know. The further you go down the rabbit hole, the more you realize that none of it really matters. And that's the truth to it. If the universe ended tomorrow, would it matter? No, because there wouldn't be any mind left to experience it. So therefore, it wouldn't matter. There would be no matter. In the game, in level 1, you experience certain obstacles, certain learnings. You go on certain quests to gain certain information. Certain characters in your game are there as backfill people, let's say. They're there just to fill up the surroundings, to fill up the environment, to bring depth and a clarity so that, okay, I can't really interact with those people. They're secondary characters, they're backfill characters, if you like. And then the secondary characters, not that are more dominant or have actual roles within the game as opposed to the backfill characters. The secondary characters are there to bring you learnings and growth. Sometimes they bring you upliftment, benefits, optimism. They support you, they nurture you, they grow you, they love you. Other times they're there to challenge you, to repress you, to poke you and trigger you, to help you in order to overcome or complete that level. But remember, we play games in life for the enjoyment of playing the game, not in order to complete them. When you complete the game, it's over. And then it starts again. You either play the same game again on a higher difficulty level, or you start a new game. When you start the new game, you're not aware of what's in that game, but having previously played an alternative game, you kind of know what to expect. Or there's areas in the game where it feels like, oh, this feels familiar. Feels like I've done this before, or something very similar to it. This is how, as we eternally, forever, continue these experiences of co-creation and playing the game, this is how we become more and more aware of the truth of who we are. Now, when I enter into the void, I no longer need to go through any steps or processes to enter into it. I just close my eyes and I'm there. At the start of remembering, becoming a member once again of the truth to who we are, becoming a member of the ambassadors of light, the Ascension family. As we remember the truth of who we are, it becomes easier and easier to access that frequency, that channel. Likened to the first time when I was a kid and I discovered MTV Dance on Sky, let's say, and I flicked through it, and then I couldn't remember what channel it was on because it didn't used to have a drop-down menu that had separate listings. So then I remembered it was about 360 and I'd flick through, and then I'd spend a little while getting to the right frequency, getting to the right channel before I was then able to see it. And then over time, you remember it and you just turn the telly on and you tune straight in. It's easy. And now, we have drop-down menus. Everything's categorized and neatly filed into different places so that we have access to the relevant information at the relevant time. So knowing that it's just like a computer game and that you are the main character and that this is your game, you can play whatever character role you wish. You can play the victim, and then you will co-create characters within the game that are the repressors, that are constantly coming up to challenge you, to repress you, because that is the frequency of character that you have chosen to be. As soon as you become the creator or the victor in your game, those which are there to repress you, once you have overcome them, will no longer be part of the game. Instead, you will attract characters and situations to show you that you are the victor. The character that you play in level 1, once you complete level 1, you gain skill points, let's say, and you can level yourself up, just as we have access to the truth of who we are and we raise our vibrational frequency potentials. It's always there. The character always has access to that information. The coding is always there within the game. It's just that you've accessed that point of the game and experienced the coding within the game, that experiential potential within the game. Yeah. It's all there, just as the information is all inside you, and it's always been there. And again, this is all I do when I work one-on-one with people, is to discover or rediscover the truth to who we are, the truth to who they are. Likened to a guide, I just guide you back home to yourself. I create a space of unconditional love so that you can flow freely from where you are to where it is you're going. That's it. Simplistically put, that's it. Likened to a river, the water in the river, the energy that is the river. I'm the channel which the water flows in. The masculine being the channel, the feminine being the water. If the channel tries to create its direction and the river wants to flow in an alternate direction, it only creates conflict. So it's allowing the feminine within ourselves to create the direction that we are going within, with the masculine creating the structure and security for the feminine to flow within. Beautiful. The boss, let's say in level 1, might at the start of level 1 be quite scary and traumatic. And we might have a memory of that level being really difficult and traumatic. When we get to level 12, the character that we have become has far more exponential knowledge and wisdom than when we were first playing the game. They've overcome lots of obstacles, lots of hurdles. They've leveled up. They've gained lots of power-up packs and new wizardry skills, or whatever it is, access to new information, new qualities. When we go back in timeline therapy again within sessions, as it's a perfect example, when we go back and replay the first level, we realize that actually that boss helped us to get to where we are later in the game. And it gave us the learnings required that we had chosen to learn, because we co-create the game with all characters in it. All characters are you. All people are you. You're the entire universe in completion, experiencing itself. Nothing is separate to you. As above, so below, as within, so without. You create those characters. When we go back and we replay the first level, we realize it was nowhere near as traumatic as we thought. In fact, it was beneficial. It gave us the learnings and growth required to bring us to where we are today. And where we are today is exactly where we need to be in order to move forwards from in the co-creation of this beautiful experience that we call life. So going back to the expression from zero to hero, this is the fundamental stumbling block and misinterpretation to it all. Why do you want to be a hero? It's much better to be a zero. Looking at everything as information, looking at it as binary code, knowing it's in the most simplistic way, of looking at it is energy vibrating at different frequencies. Okay, it's energy mathematically balanced out within certain equations, ones and zeros. A 1 needs another 1 to become 2. A 1, if it is negative and vibrating at hostility, will come to a mirroring with another 1, and they will bounce that frequency back and forth off each other. So like playing a game of squash or ping pong, I'm angry, I'm going to vibrate anger at you, I'm going to direct anger towards you, and you're going to then direct it back to me. And it's going to increase between ourselves. We're going to increase the frequency of that anger as we bounce it back and forth between ourselves, to the point where we feel locked or stuck within it, that we believe ourselves to be it. That's because you've become a 1, a single aspect, or a single belief, a single point of consciousness and awareness, you believe yourself separate. When we're a zero, we complete ourselves. We can have all those internal dialogues within our own consciousness. We don't need somebody else to reflect it upon. It's almost as though we can take ourselves apart, which I do regularly, to experience whatever it is that we require the experience of without an external character being required. Again, if you look at yourself as a one and somebody throws negativity at you, it will stick to you and run down you. If you're a zero, a circle, then it washes over you. It washes off you a lot more effortlessly, like a duck to water. So in a competition, it's all about being number one. And society has tricked us or convinced us that we are in competition with each other. And then when we enter into those moments where there's nobody external to us, where there's not another one to mirror ourselves off, we then go into conflict with ourselves, because the truth is that we're always a zero. We've just deluded ourselves to believe that we're a one. Being a zero, we can have all those internal conversations and interactions with the self and learn and grow accordingly, choosing it all. When there's somebody external to us and we're bouncing that off them, we have unknowingly given away our power to them. Or they're making me angry. Well, no, they're not doing anything. The emotion is being experienced within you, by you. You're angry. You're feeling angry. You're attaching yourself to that feeling, classifying yourself as being that feeling, and then blaming somebody outside yourself for it. They might be doing something which is frustrating towards you and causes you to experience a state or an emotion of anger. But it's up to you to then attach to it and classify yourself as it. Being human, I will always have the access to emotions, but I have realized that as beautiful as it is to swim in emotions, they are very heavy in frequency. When we can become more like water as opposed to oil, to feel is like swimming in water. To become emotionally attached is like swimming in tar. And even in love, the whole I fell in love, I fell. Why fall? Why lower yourself to love? That expression is because you are lowering your vibration. You're lowering your connection to source, because you have got stuck in that very heavy emotion. Emotions are beautiful. It's one of the main reasons we're here, is to experience those different senses and emotions, but we can become clogged or waterlogged within them. Again, being like a duck to water as opposed to a duck in oil. We've all seen pictures of birds when they get oil covered over them. It's not a pretty sight. To be a zero, to then go on a journey of trying to become a hero, to then go back to realization that we're a zero. Simplistically put, simplistic. That is the universe. We start as a single form. We explode ourselves into all these different versions, to have all these different experiences, to mirror and to bounce ourselves off, to be two ones that can then rub against each other, causing that spark, causing that friction, causing existence, until we come to a realization that we are all one and the same. And we bring back in all those parts. We rebuild that motor, that engine, as we took it apart at the start of the show. We build it again into a single form once again, into a single aspect. And remember, if you're one, you're worth one. You connect to somebody else and you're worth two. Or if you view it as such, you're worth 11. One and one. One and one can make two or 11. It's up to you the way that you perceive it. And a couple that have made themselves an 11 are far more powerful and potential than a couple that have made themselves a 2. If you're a 0, you're worth everything that has come before you. So there's all these other ones. You know that you are all those ones. You place yourself at the end of the line of ones, and then you're worth as many numbers as before yourself. You can become a trillion simply by placing yourself in connection to everybody else's experiences. This is part of the superpower of being an empath, being able to resonate and to explore other people's emotions and experiences, to embody that frequency, to learn and to grow through it. Powerful shit, this. If you really embody all of this, if you listen to this complete episode and you truly embody it all, it will take you to new levels of potential, new levels of experience. It's all singular. And that's what we're doing. We are coming into a state of awareness where we are singular. The more that we continue to attach labels to things, the more that we will be separated or governed or controlled by those labels. And as a beautiful way to bring a completion to today's episode, and thank you everybody that's been listening throughout. I see you and I appreciate you eternally. At the moment, in the current situation, knowing that we have entered into a new realm, a new frequency of existence, to use the labels, we were in a 3D world, and now we're in a 5D. Ooh. But actually, why label any of it? I will leave the layers or levels of existence, the different realms, for another experience, for another episode. But just to bring a completion to today's, and just to remind you to please stop labeling things and please stop looking to fix things outside yourself. Don't worry about anything outside you. Don't attach your mind or a desire to control or to change anything outside you. Change what's in, and what's out will change accordingly, because you will no longer vibrate in resonance to it or receive it. If you focus on something negative and repressive outside of yourself, then you become aligned with it. It becomes your focus of attention. Again, it's like turning the TV on. Oh, okay, there's lots of elements and forces at work which seek to destroy us. There's a battle between light and dark going on, and I'm in the light side, so I need to fight against the darkness. No, there is no battle. There is no war to be won. It's an eternal dance. It's all single. The light and the dark complete each other, just as the yin and the yang. Just as the yin and the yang. It's the beautiful white feminine in her flowing and angelic wedding dress. And the masculine, the strong, confident masculine, providing safety and structure in his black wedding suit, as they are locked in an eternal embrace together, dancing rhythmically and majestically forever and a day. So when we separate them and go, that's good, that's bad, then it becomes an issue. To know it's just an experience, it is as it is. Focus your laser, your attention, your awareness, your creative potential upon that which you wish to experience. Focus on the negatives. It's like you're taking your chip and placing it in the cup of negativity, until the point where the collective are doing that anyway, and it's overflowing. And then it's up to those of us that are mindful enough to hold a frequency of acceptance, to almost bring it back into the vibration of neutrality. That's why so many of you have been so tired over the winter periods, because you have unknowingly or knowingly been transmuting frequencies that are incredibly heavy and repressive. So again, thank you. fucking thank you for being you and for everything that you do. Truly. Could not do this alone. And I would not want to do it alone. It's the whole point in this separational experience is to be able to experience it alongside each other, with each other, to be a zero, to be self-sustained and self-contained, and then to be able to join up with all the other zeros, to then come into unity. And as a very, very beautiful image, as we do this, this is what brings back the end of the game. But before I go to that point, before I explain all of the zeros coming into connection with each other, let's go back very quickly to the third and fifth dimension. There was lots of people outside before, okay? You go out and there'd be countless people doing countless things, all within a 3D world. Now, when I go outside, I see about 12 people where before I would see 100. Now, when I go outside, it's easy to see the people that are my people, as opposed to the people that are staying indoors, staying hidden, staying safe. They're not my people. They're staying in the third dimension. Anybody that wants to stay in fear and repression, that's their choice. That's part of their learnings, their growth, their lesson. It's not for you to get involved in. You are playing your game. And as you've leveled up, as you're now playing the fifth level, they're still playing the third, you can share information that you've discovered along your journey so that maybe they will be open to receive it and to use it in their exploration of the level of the game to help them to complete their levels more efficiently, more harmonically. But it's not for you to try to play the game for them. Not only is that not your game, but you're taking away their ability to learn and to grow through playing their own game. Except that some people are here to balance out the equation. Knowing that it's mathematical in formula, that it's energy vibrating at different frequencies, that it's ones and zeros, we need the ones as well as the zeros. Yeah? Let them play their roles. Do not feel bad for them. Because in truth, they have chosen to come here, as we all have, to play certain roles, to bring balance to the equation. So somebody that's come here to choose to feel repression, hostility, victimization, they've done so because they've experienced everything else and they want to come and experience repression to see what it's like. Why not? I've done everything else. Why would I not want to experience that? It's just an experience, the same as the rest of it, right? Or they've knowingly come to weigh the seesaw down, to be that heavier and denser being so that they can sit on the seesaw and help you to elevate and to rise up on the other side. It's then up to you to continue to rise yourself, and in doing so, rise the collective. Knowing that as you raise the collective, and as the collective raises, it raises you, it raises us, because we are one and the same. And then at the end of this game that we call life, in this realm, when we all have come back into completion, we'll go back to a singularity and there'll be nothing to experience once again. So if you picture lots of zeros, like tadpoles, each person, the universe contained within itself, each zero, as it connects to itself, with a one in the middle, it has no way of doing this. There's like a wall or a barrier separating. So you have a zero and a one and a zero. The zeros can't come into completion because the one is separating them. When each aspect, each element of self has come into completion within the self, as all of those zeros touch, there will be a slight gap between each one until they realize that they are all unified as all of the zeros come into being, just like lots of little baby frog spawns. Close up, you can see the lots of little baby frog spawns. From a distance, it looks like one. From a distance, the universe is one. Up close, it's made up of lots of different elements of that one. From a distance, somebody may appear to be one, but you go inside them and you look at all of their events and situations, all of their perspectives and learnings and viewpoints and beliefs, and you realize that they're made up of lots of things, lots of people's viewpoints. You're not unique. You are unique because you are you and nobody else is you. But you are you that has been created through, this is the egoic you, the conscious you, not the super conscious, not the soul aspect of the higher self you, the conscious you. You're created by all of your previous events and situations. So my mother and my father exist in me. Their belief structure exists within me. And if I enter into a mindless running of one of those old programs, then I become them. Oh, that wasn't me. No, well, it wasn't you. It was a program you've adopted. Yeah. So when we come back into that singularity, when we come back into that single point, when all of those circles, all of those zeros connect and gravitate to one another, and we come back into a single form, having discovered all of the information that we went out and separated ourselves to discover, having taken apart that engine, discovered how it works and putting it back together again, then we go back into a void. Nothing. Literally nothing. There'll be no more experience to be had once again. We've experienced it all. And we go back into a singularity, a single point of consciousness. And then we sit there, just blissful and harmonic in frequency, just beautiful. And then as time passes, knowing that time in truth does not exist, but say 100 billion million years passes, trillion, quadrillion, whatever number you want to put on it. And then all of a sudden, consciousness, God goes, whoa, where am I? What am I doing? Why am I here? I'm aware that I'm aware, but I don't know what's going on. I've forgotten who I am and why I'm here. I know what I'll do. Bang! I'll fragment and separate myself into infinite different versions across infinite different realms to have infinite different experiences. So maybe I can remember where I'm from and why I'm here. Fast forward into completion once again, until the whole cycle repeats itself. Told you this was going to be a deep one. I've done the best that I am consciously able in delivering this information. I embody as a frequency this truth. I embody the truth that I am it all in completion. I have accepted that I am Moses, that I am Jesus, that I am all of them. This, to be Moses was fine. To be Jesus was like, oh no, I can't be Jesus. And it took me quite a while to allow myself to be, once that frequency, once that Christ consciousness frequency kept delivering me information. I wrote a beautiful, beautiful quote the other day because it's something that literally he gave me. To say he is just a representation of the frequency that is Christ. Christ consciousness gave me this beautiful, beautiful saying. I cry tears of gold, easing the sufferings of mankind by taking them upon myself. For this is the greatest of treasures. Now, that's not mine. That was given to me by a frequency that I have opened myself up to accept. I accept that I'm Jesus. I'm not saying that I am Jesus Christ, the savior of humanity. I'm saying that I have access to the frequency bandwidth, to the program, to the informational access point, that is Jesus. Frequency, channel again. Let's tune it into the channel of Jesus. Just open myself up and see what he's going to deliver through me today. That's it. That's how we channel. All of the angels and guides that you give tasks and things to do, you've opened yourself up to that frequency. You're allowing it to be experienced. And again, the reason praying to God works is because collectively humanity has created such an attentional focal point on God. Again, I never actually finished this, which is maybe why it's coming up now. All the flashlights, we're all those lights, yeah? If we each focus our light on one point, that one point becomes illuminated to the point we can't see everything else. We keep focusing our lights on the negativity and the repression. That's what we're illuminating. That's what we're seeing. We focus it on the positivity and optimism, the freedom and expansion, then that's what we're creating. That's the whole point in the portal that we're opening. A beautiful platform, a social platform to all come together where there's no form of control or oppression, where everything's free to be expressed, to be shared, to be bounced back off each other, mirrored upon each other, knowing that it's not right or wrong, it's just an interpretation and expression. And the more information that we have, the bigger picture that we can create, and the more that we can liberate. So please, if you're listening to this still, again, thank you. Come and join us at the portal. I'll put all the links in the comments below. Come and become one of the members of the Ascension family and an official ambassador of the light, so that together we can all focus our flashlights on a single vision to create a world of true harmony for all. Not equality, because equality will not work. Harmony, knowing that everything exists mathematically in harmony. And again, whatever you focus it on, you create. So many flashlights focused on this being, this external entity named God, that whenever somebody prays to God, not only are they creating it themselves with their frequency, with their self-belief and ability to create, but so is everybody else that is shining their flashlight on that being that is God. The same with it all. Angels hold power because we've given them power. Higher self holds power because we've given it power. It's you that holds the power. It's you that chooses where to shine your flashlight. Start shining it inside yourself, my friend, because that is where the true power resides. If you've listened to this, please share it. This is an incredibly powerful visualization, story, walkthrough, whatever you want to call it, however you've received it. Thank you for receiving. Thank you for being open to receive that which I'm broadcasting. Thank you for being you. As I say, head over to the YouTube Cosmic Surfer, Cosmic with a K, as I am Kaine Stromberg, the Cosmic Surfer. And this will be, as I say, second episode of a higher frequency. As well as this station having a higher frequency, we also house and share Midday Mindfulness, which is another show that is more dedicated to physical structure of reality, to being mindful, to being able to adopt certain practices and techniques, meditation, mindfulness, healthy living, healthy mind, healthy body, healthy soul sort of stuff. But this is more, a higher frequency is based and created specifically to share this incredibly deep diving information, to take apart reality so that we can together understand it more efficiently. So please send in any questions, send in your view so that we can grow together. Send me something so I can share it in next week's episode or in the next episode. I'm not entirely sure how often these will be released. It's as and when. I'm just opening myself up these days. There's no structure to it all. I'm just free to flow wherever I'm given the opportunity to flow, knowing that I'm co-creating it whilst I experience it. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for being you and for tuning in. Sending you all my love. And until next time, namaste. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Peace out.